In today's video, I'm decorating this group of library tags. These tags are included in our French Blue Fussy Cut bundle, along with another 44 pieces of ephemera and 18 pattern papers. I'll be working with a few of the papers and pieces from the kit, along with some items from my own stash. I love the soft blue tones and all of the different blue flowers. Each tag is a little bit different. I wanted each one to have a different topper. So there's ribbon, a paper clip bow, string, and two half hanging charms. Let me gather up all of my supplies and I'll show you how easy these are to put together. Welcome to a Phantom Charm Studios tutorial. My name is Tammy, and today I'm using some elements from our French Blue Fussy Cuts bundle. I already printed the library card tags and cut them out. I also added eyelets to four of them just to save some time on camera. I also cut out a few of the other ephemera pieces just to give you a peek at what you'll find inside this kit. It's got florals and typewriters and dragonflies, butterflies, book stacks, teacups, vintage elements, and much more, all in soft shades of blue. Let me clear these off so I can share these pretty patterns. This is just four of the 18 prints in this bundle. This floral has blue flowers on a cream background, and the other has white roses on a blue background. On the back, I printed two of the basic patterns that come in this collection. My printer allows for borderless printing, which is what I prefer when I print my papers. There are 18 different patterns and 5 bonus pages. I added the 5 different stripe patterns in both portrait and landscape so you can print them whichever way works best for your project. For today's tutorial, I'm going to use some supplies from my stash to decorate these tags. I've been junk journaling for less than a year now, but I am a longtime scrapbooker. I'm really excited to be exploring new ways to use all of the supplies that I've collected over the years. I won't use everything I've gathered up here, but there are some random items I thought could work. I have some flashcards, a few tickets, some die cut tags and labels, a few felt bows on paper clips. I'll use the bulb pins to add charms to two of the tags. And I also have a roll of stamps from 49 and Market that coordinates great with this kit. I also have a pack of these vintage snippets from Tim Holtz. These little tags have random numbers and words that I thought I might be able to add to my library cards. The first thing I want to do is cut blocks from the papers to back 4 of the 6 tags. I'm just grabbing my paper trimmer to see how big I should cut the papers. The tags measure 2¼ inches by 3½ inches, so I'm going to add a ½ inch on each side. I'm cutting 2 blocks from each paper that measures 2¾ by 4 inches. Because each paper is double-sided, that gives me 4 patterns to choose from once I cut these tags down to size. Now that I have my papers trimmed, I want to pick which tags I think go best with each pattern. I added eyelets to 4 of the tags ahead of time, and these are the 4 I want to use with the patterns. There's no right or wrong here. It's just personal taste and what looks best to your eye. The same colors are used throughout the kit, so everything already mixes and matches. This combination of tags and papers looks good to me. Before I do anything else, I'm going to grab some Distress Oxide ink and ink the edges of my tags. I'm using the color Hickory Smoke. This light gray color will add a very subtle outline around each of the tags and the papers, but it is dark enough to show. Of course, inking edges is always optional. Are there camps of inkers and non-inkers in junk journaling the way there is in scrapbooking? I've always loved the look of inked edges, But a lot of scrapbookers won't ink paper edges and prefer a cleaner look. I like to add the distressing and I don't mind getting out the inks and the tools and the time that it takes to get the look that I want. And I have a ton of inks, not just the browns and the neutral colors. I have a full rainbow of colors, and I'm excited to find new ways to use them in junk journaling. I like to ink the side edges to cover up the white core of the paper, but also to add just a bit of an outline to the front edge of the paper. I will let these dry just a bit. The oxide ink takes longer to dry because of the pigment in the ink. For this first tag, I'm going to turn the paper block into a tag as well. I'm just marking a hole with a pencil and adding a line where I want to cut each of the corners off to make the tag shape. Using my hole punch, I'm making a hole at the top of the tag and then I'll trim off both corners with my scissors. If you have a punch that makes that tag angle, you could use that as well. I have one, but it wasn't on my desk when I was filming. I'm going to go back over the trimmed corners with my ink to keep the tags consistent. I pulled two different charms and I want to see which one I think would look good with this tag. I like the key better with this peony flower. So I'm going to keep the first tag super simple and just add one of the Tim Holtz snippets at the bottom, adding some ink around the edges. I will add both the charm and the tag to the bulb pen. I'm not going to glue this tag down to the pattern paper because it will give me some journaling space. I didn't print anything on the back side of my library card tags. You can always print a grid paper or a lined paper on the back side if you want to have lines for your journaling. And that completes my first tag. I'm going to glue this next tag down so that the pattern paper frames the tag. I like how the layers look. First, I'll line the tag up where I want it to sit on the background, and then I punched a hole in the background paper. Once this is glued down, I'm going to add a circle embellishment that I fussy cut out from one of the ephemera sheets included in this kit. I moved it around a bit to see where I thought it looked best, and I will end up gluing it to the bottom right corner. I'm going to take another Tim Holtz snippet and add it down on top. And then I'm going to grab the roll of 49 and Market stamps and add another one to finish off the cluster. This tag has a pattern printed on the backside. So if I want journaling space on this tag, I could add a journaling spot or maybe stamp some journaling lines. More than likely, I'll just stick it onto a page somewhere and layer other things with it. I don't want to over decorate these tags in this step. My goal is to build a stash of pre-made items to have at the ready. So when I'm creating a spread in one of my journal and I just need a quick embellishment, I have a variety of things to use. And by not over decorating them now, there's room to add finishing touches to these library cards when I'm putting them in whatever journal they end up in. For this next tag, I think I want to add a tuck spot under the library card. I could tuck a small journaling card in there or a ticket or a photo. I found a small journaling card that should work. It might be a little big, but I can always trim off the sides if I need to. So when I glue this tag down, I'm only adding glue to the left side of the tag, a little bit at the top left corner and the bottom left corner to leave me the side opening to add in the journaling card. I'm adding this white die cut label from my pile of embellishments off camera to the side of my tag. When I use this tag in a journal later on, that label gives me a good place to add a date or a name for whatever I need at the time. That tab can also act as an indicator that something is layered under the tag. My journaling card fits better at a bit of an angle, and I like how this layering looks. I'm going to add another darker stamp to give the tag a pop of color on the front. There is enough room behind the tag to add more, like this tag with the typewriter on it that I fussy cut from some of the ephemera sheets. As a finishing touch, I'm looking in my box of different twine colors to see if I have something that could work. The first thing I saw was this gray and silver twine. It's perfect. I'm going to cut some off and then I'll just knot this at the top of my tag through the eyelet on the library card. And that completes another tag. Next up, I'll work on this iris flower library card. For this one, I'm going to do something similar to the first tag. I'm using the library card to mark the center circle to punch out, and then I'll add pencil lines to cut the pattern paper into a tag. I'll re-ink the cut edges with the Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide ink. I'm going to add the other bulb pin with the other charm that I pulled. These will dangle at the top of the tag, adding some movement. And I'm still deciding what will go on the tag. I had pulled a ticket, but I think that's too big and it covers up too much of the flower. So I think I'm going to go with another stamp and another snippet from the Tim Holtz ephemera pack. I'm really glad I added those. I think these snippets are great because they don't take up a ton of space, but they add a little interest. So I'll layer the stamp and the die cut. And then I realized that I meant to add one of the small die cut tags that I had off to the side. So I'm going to add that in because it's the perfect spot to add a date. This tag will be like the first one in that there's room on the back of the library card for some journaling. And that finishes off the fourth tag. I still have these two left that I chose not to layer with pattern papers. In keeping with the other tags, I'm going to keep the embellishments on these as simple as well. I want to use this applique butterfly and it looks good with this rose card. I think the easiest way to attach this is with a stapler right down the center of the butterfly. On this other tag, I have some ribbon that I think would look good with the flower on that card. I'm just trimming each end to kind of match with each other. And then I'll add this to the card with the stapler as well. Unless I have fabric glue on my desk, a stapler is usually the quickest way to attach embellishments like this that have different textures. And I personally like the silver metal that it adds. You can find many different colors of staples on Amazon. I just picked up some rose gold staples that I can't wait to use. But for the most part, I'm usually good with the silver finish. I'm looking through my little stash of items on the side of my desk to see what I might add to these last two tags. A few of the things that I pulled are just too big. I haven't used either of these paper clips with the felt bows. Both colors would work, but I'm going to go with the darker blue, which will bring out the darker blue from the center of the butterfly. Once I get this on, it still feels like it needs something. So I found another snippet and I'll add that right under the paper clip. And that's going to finish off this tag. I'm just kind of looking through what I have left to see what else I could add to my last tag. I have a phrase that says one day at a time, and that would be a good fit for this tag. I'm going to add a bit of ink around the outside, and then I'll change my mind on the placement and move this phrase to the bottom of the tag. I still want to add something up at the top. I'm going to trim this die cut, add some ink around the edges, and place that up at the top with the ribbon. And I felt like it needed a spot of color, so I'm going to add in one more stamp. If you're interested in this French Blue Fussy Cut bundle, I'll link our Etsy shop in the description box below, along with an exclusive coupon. Use that code and receive 35% off when you purchase two or more items from our shop. Thanks so much for spending some time crafting with me today. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to help us grow. And please come check out our freebies on Ko-fi. I just added a French blue add-on set that would work great with these library card tags.